Government ministers have been bombarded with questions about their lack of analysis on how small businesses would survive an extended lockdown period. Small Business Minister Stuart Nash has been asked repeatedly at today's Epidemic Response Committee on whether any analysis had been presented to Cabinet before the decision was made on extending level 4 by 5 days. Opposition MPs are arguing that could be the final straw for some businesses whose backs are against the wall. Our political reporter Charlie Dreaver has the details.
There was much to discuss at today's Epidemic Response Committee, but there was one question in particular that kept cropping up for Small Business Minister Stuart Nash, asked here by the committee's chair, National's Simon Bridges.
Can you tell us how many businesses will effectively go out of business because of the longer period in lockdown? Did you go armed with any analysis of any kind about the effects of an additional week of lockdown? Did you go to Cabinet with any analysis?
Despite the many attempts to get a straight answer from Mr Nash, this was all Mr Bridges was going to get.
You're telling us you haven't done any work on that.
I'm not telling you that at all, Mr Chair. What I am saying is it is my considered opinion and the opinion of my colleagues is that if we get this health response under control and we work to eliminate COVID from our country, our economy is going to come out of this a lot faster. Our small businesses will survive in a way they wouldn't if we let this thing get out of control.
Simon Bridges says a bakery in his electorate has told him they're feeling the pressure of facing 7 weeks of no business, as even with the wage subsidy, there are still other costs that need to be met.
They say, while we realise the lockdown has been necessary to curb the spread of COVID, we are absolutely gutted that our livelihoods are shattered due to our business closure. We are the sacrificial lambs and are, they say, completely unsupported.
But Mr Nash argues businesses can set up a click and collect option for customers. And once again, comparisons were made with how our neighbours across the ditch are handling the COVID-19 crisis. National MP Todd McClay asked why there hasn't been more direct financial support for businesses.
I'm pleading with you, Minister, on behalf of small businesses. They need a cash injection now, as we've seen from the Australian government, and merely funding to help workers has been very good for those workers, but it's not going to keep more businesses in New Zealand in business.
Stuart Nash pushed back against claims that Australia was doing better by its businesses before things got heated.
Australian businesses will not see any money until the beginning of May. Our businesses saw 12 weeks worth of wages into their...
But they're still able to trade, Minister.
McClay,
the point is that they are still able to trade.
Can we have the Minister answering questions and not being constantly interrupted?
Mr Nash also spoke about the tax breaks that will also be available to businesses. And when it was time for the Finance Minister, Grant Robertson, to speak, he said the government has the business community's support.
Everybody's concerned about the length of time that we spend in level 4 or level 3 because it clearly does restrict activity, but we are sticking to our judgment, staying the course that we believe doing it once and doing it right is the best for the economy.
Mr Robertson also disputed there was a lack of analysis. He says Treasury has already provided Cabinet scenarios that accounted for a month at level 4 and a month at level 3. A week longer than the 2 levels combined are expected to last. However, Simon Bridges says ministers should have arrived at the meeting with numbers on SMEs and unemployment.
I grant that forecasting and scenarios and so on in a very uncertain situation never going to be perfect, but you'd like to think they would at least have tried at some level.
Mr Bridges says it's important to know what it will mean for those businesses who will be in jeopardy the longer lockdown continues. For Checkpoint, call Charlie Dreaver, DNA.
And in other political news, a decision has been made that Parliament will meet again next Tuesday. I'm sure that's got you all relieved, but it will be in a very limited way under the shifting lockdown levels, with only the number of MPs needed present. It will resume for question time, ministerial statements, and to pass urgent business related to the government's COVID-19 response. Now, Parliament's Business Committee will decide tomorrow exactly what the rules will be, and I'm sure we'll bring that to you as it comes to hand.